Okay, recording is in progress, I think. You can start, sir.
Okay, good evening and welcome to all. Let's start with our universal prayer. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Okay, good evening and welcome to all. Gandhinagar Lodge is happy to start this online study of an important Theosophical Society book, starting with the Voice of the Silence by Madam BLavatsky. We thank first Miss Mary Kay, a volunteer at the School of Wisdom, for getting us this facility of the Zoom platform. She has also kindly agreed to assist us to conduct the various sessions. Ms. Vimala Balachandar of Adyar Lodge has offered her services to host the online sessions. She has hosted several online study and meetings at the Federation and Indian section level. We thank Vimala for her services. Now I'll give you a brief introduction on the speaker, Brother Shinde. Most of you know about him. Maybe a few are there who may not be aware of his background. So let me give you a brief introduction of Professor Shinde. He is a retired professor of zoology. He has worked in Pune and Sangli, Maharashtra. During that time, he has authored more than 10 textbooks on zoology. He's been a resident of Adyar for the past 20 years and has worked in different capacities. 16 years as Chief Librarian, Adyar Library and Research Center, ALRC. As Secretary of Olcott Memorial School, as Besant Education Federation member. He is also head of the Esoteric School of Theosophy office in Adyar for the last 15 years. He is International General Council member and executive member. He is also a national executive member. He has conducted many classes, study classes, both online and in person over the last 25 years. He is a national and international TS speaker. He has lectured in various lodges, federations in India, as well as all over the world, Sri Lanka, USA, Northern Netherlands, a few places to be named. We invite Professor Shinde to start this program. Before that, I just want to give a brief detail on the format of the session. The session will be conducted for around 40 minutes. If you have any questions, please jot them down or park your questions. We have a 20-minute Q&A session at the end. Thank you and welcome you all. Professor Shinde, you can.
Thank you, Brother Muralidharan. And also I welcome all those who have joined for this study class. I am grateful for the Gandhinagar Lodge to arrange such study class online. In the sense, those who are really serious, they have joined, they want to know more about this book and also the verses that are given in this. Well, the time limit is there, we'll go slowly. And before we go, let me share, I think Vimalji will share. Yeah. So this Voice of the Silence by HP BLavatsky is a classic of theosophical literature. See, you can read on this screen. It is a classic of theosophical literature. It has many depths of meaning and is a never-ending source of for study, meditation, and inspiration. There can be no one interpretation, and not all will agree upon any single approach. Each one who wishes to understand something of its profound teaching must undertake his own search and discovery. See, this is the very introduction of this book. That means we must know which are the books we must take for our own search, our own discovery, and understand deeply the teaching given in this Voice of the Silence. And those books are one by one, I will show you here. You can go through those books. This is the 2 copies, the Voice of the Silence, which is the quest book. And the other one, the Voice of the Silence, our TPH publication. These 2 books, in this book, you can find the verses very nicely printed. But the commentary, we can go to the next. Even in the quest book, you can find the commentary. This is the second, The Way of Wisdom by N. Sri Ram. N. Sri Ram conducted the School of Wisdom on the Voice of the Silence, and his talks are published in this book, The Voice of the Silence, along with the talks on Bhagavad Gita, Light on the Path, At the Feet of the Master, and this also, all this. This is N. Sri Ram's perspective. Then talks on the path of occultism by C.W. Leadbeater. This is the basic. Everyone is asked to study this because this is by clairvoyant vision. More commentary is given by C.W. Leadbeater. So one can read this. Then next is, you can see, I hope, I think, The Creative Silence by Rohit Mehta. Rohit Mehta also gave talk on the Voice of the Silence in School of Wisdom. And it was very insightful, inspiring, and it also published in the form of a book. And our previous Vice President, Joy Mills, who stayed in Crotona, and she has written a book. She also gave the talks on the Voice of the Silence in the Narden, and it is published as the booklet, like From Inner to Outer Transformation. So these are the books you can refer. We'll go further because the very thing we must remember, this is the guidebook. Voice of the Silence is the guide to self-transformation, which is the aim of the Theosophical Society, or not aim, it is the mission of the Theosophical Society, and it is the aim of the esoteric school of Theosophy. So self-transformation, when it is the aim of the EST and the mission of the Theosophical Society, then this book is a guide for this self-transformation. And we all know HPB gave Theosophy to the world, and Colonel Alcott gave Theosophical Society to the world, and HPB's literary works are still inspiring, we know, through last 150 years. So her literary legacy of the Voice of the Silence is, I think, still vital and living. It inspires very fiber of our blood cells and our DNA molecule. And it brings transformation there. That is what we call regeneration or rebirth. So transformation in vehicles of consciousness and regeneration or rebirth, that is called a molecular mutations of our life atoms, that is called rebirth. You know, our life atoms are constantly undergoing the interchange. We study life being one. We are all in each other's protoplasmic soap. If you have not thought about this, then you begin to think about this when you read these HP BLavatsky's literary work like Isis Unveiled, Secret Doctrine, Key to Theosophy, and this last gift, Voice of the Silence, to the world. And see, in the preface, he says, it is for those the door is firmly closed who seek this knowledge for selfish ends alone. So if you are really interested to study the voice of the silence, then whatever knowledge you get, whatever insight you get, you must make use to serve the humanity. Otherwise, the door will be firmly closed. You will not be given those kinds of insights. It is only for those who really aspire to enter upon the new way of life, that is, from pravritti marga to nivritti marga, from path of karma marga to nivritti marga. This is a path of return. So once we understand this, then how this book is originated. I am giving today the introduction of this book, very interesting. And being a study class, we must know how this book came into existence. The Voice of the Silence is undoubtedly a true teaching of the esoteric school, as confirmed by the ninth or Lama and present Lamas. However, the source is older than Tibetan, what they are doing. So Madame Blavatsky wrote to her sister in February 1890, saying that the Voice of the Silence, this book, though it is simply becoming the Theosophical Bible, but they are grand aphorisms indeed. I may say so because, you know, I did not invent them. I only translated them from Telugu, the oldest South Indian dialectic. And there are 3 treatises about moral principles of Mongolians and Dravidian mysteries. See from where it is originated. She just translated them from the Telugu, and but those are the manuscripts actually, square plates of manuscripts. From there, she has taken it. Of course, masters helped her to take those, and most of them she was by-hearted. So about 250 miles from Adyar, Madras, in southern India, are the ancient ruins of Nagarjuna Konda, where the ancient tantric school of Nagarjuna was founded, and Telugu and 5 great Dravidian languages is spoken in both of these areas. So if we have this in our mind, how this source of the voice of the silence is. And when I say the voice of the silence is the last literary gift to the world as a gem of ancient Eastern wisdom, it contains chosen fragments from the books of the Golden Precept. If you look into these fragments, it is interesting to know also these fragments. I will explain when we go to the introduction of the things in detail. But these are not the continuous one. Fragment 1 is for preparation, probationary path. Fragment 2 for discriminative power. We must discriminate which path need to be chosen. There are two paths when you proceed further. And the third is the actually 7 portals. Unless you pass those 7 portals, you cannot reach to the truth. So these are the fragments, disconnected, divided into 3 parts. So it contains chosen fragments from the book of Golden Precepts. She found many maxims and ideas from different forms of Telugu and Sanskrit works. Even she mentions in the Voice of the Silence, Jnaneshwari. It is known as the Marathi commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. A question was asked to HP BLavatsky about the underlying philosophy of the Voice of the Silence. People asked, it is very difficult to understand. You tell me in one sentence. And she immediately told, the mind is the great slayer of the real. Let the disciple slay the slayer. This one sentence I have always put on each study class when we go. You by heart this, mind is the great slayer of the real. Let the disciple slay the slayer. To slay the slayer means to transcend. Who is the slayer? Who is the culprit? It is not the body. It is not the heart. It is not the spirit. Then who is the culprit in human? It is the mind. So mind is the great slayer of the real. What is required is transcending this mind. The mind which is a competitive mind, mind which is the biased mind, the mind which is the conditioned mind. It is the source of many problems. And even in modern days or last century, J. Krishnamurti pointed the same saying about the deconditioning of the human mind. His whole life was, he served deconditioning the human mind. That is, to dissolve its self-centeredness, its self-importance, self-projecting attitude, etc. We know the control of mind is not possible. But transcending of the mind, it is rather not easy, but it is real next to impossible. You can change your thoughts, then your moods will change, and gradually mind changes and gets slowly deconditioned. Because mind is the factory of thoughts. We can control our thoughts, but it is impossible to control our mind. Because we know the different aspects of the mind. We have a thinking mind, we have a reasoning mind, we have an egoistic mind, and sometimes we have an insightful mind. And the mind working through physical body is the brain. So what is the brain? The mind working through physical body is the brain. So the thinking mind and thought are its product. So once we understand this, then perhaps we can change our thoughts and give right direction to our thought. And when we feel, sometimes we say, today's atmosphere is very, very uplifting. It is good. And sometimes we say, today's atmosphere is very gloomy. We can't meditate. This feeling is not the physical brain which is feeling, because brain cannot feel the atmosphere. It is definitely the response of the mind which wants to align with the nature. And therefore, this mind has this capacity to feel, to align with the nature. So in order to understand the voice of the silence, it is helpful to consider the views of mind and consciousness. Especially this teaching is given in the Yogacara school and are still held by the Buddhist esoteric schools. That is, discernment of very levels of consciousness is a really essential training for the aspirants, for the spiritual aspirants. Whatever we are seriously doing, we are really training our mind. When we know there are many different aspects of the mind, thinking mind, reasoning mind, egoistic mind, insightful mind, are we aware of these states of the mind? And this Yogacara school teaches 8 types of cognition. And these 8 types of cognition leads to the 5 types of wisdom. And the consciousness of the externals is the consciousness of the senses. Senses like sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. So these 5 cognitions are concerned with the consciousness of the senses. We call it as the senses consciousness. Then when we come to the mind, it is the ordinary consciousness, relative mind, and the next is the consciousness of spirit, that is manasa. So when we are conscious about our spirit, how we can be shift our consciousness from mind to spirit consciousness. Just for example, sometimes I say my mind is happy. Sometimes I say my mind is unhappy. So who is this recognizing the moods of the mind? Definitely, it is not the heart. It is not the mind itself. It is not the brain even. So it is something beyond the mind. And that we call a manasa principle that is given to the human being. We may call it the buddhi manasa. And then last cognition is the fundamental universal consciousness, that is alaya. So when we study this external consciousness, mind consciousness, consciousness of the manasa, and then perhaps we can able to attain yoga, that is the individual consciousness merges into the alaya, or universal consciousness. So when we study all this, then I know we have to go some. Okay, we'll go to the verses now. Vimalji, 1 to 5 you can project those. They can read, yes. I think they can read. Yeah. The heading I have given, mind is the great slayer of the real, slay the slayer. But 1 to 5, these are the verses. I read all these 5, you just listen them. These instructions are for those ignorant of the danger of the lower Hiddis. These instructions are for those ignorant of the dangers of the lower Hiddis. Hiddis here, Siddhis, you can take it. Second, he who would hear the voice of the Nada, Nada Brahma, that is voice of the silence. He who would hear the voice of Nada, the soundless sound, and able to comprehend it, he has to learn the nature of the dharana. In the sense, when you attain this stage of dharana, this stage of focusing your whole energy to listen that voice of the silence, then what is that nature of dharana? We'll discuss it later. So it says, you must and comprehend it, he has to learn the nature of the dharana. So first learn the concentration, focusing of the energy to a particular object of meditation. Then third, having become indifferent to objects of perception, the pupil must seek out the Raja of the senses. Again, I have given you the first 5 cognitions, 5 cognitions of the senses. Then we are still in that world of external consciousness, external senses. But now in the third it says, you must learn to become indifferent to objects of perception. Then the pupil must seek out the Raja of the senses. Who is the Raja of the senses? Here the mind is the Raja of senses, who is the thought producer, and he is the thought producer. And thought is the enemy. That is what J. Krishnamurti pointed out. Because it awakens illusion. So the Raja of senses is mind. He is the thought producer, he who awakens illusion. In other words, we said in the introduction, the brain and mind together, that is the thought producer. So that is the brain. Brain is this lower mind. Then he says, mind is the great slayer of the real. Let the disciple slay the slayer. Who is the disciple? Disciple is one who follows this instruction, one who is serious. So here we can footnote, even masters HPB not only by-hearted these verses, but she noted some notes given by the master. And these masters note about the Hiddhi. Hiddhi, the Pali word, is synonymous of the Sanskrit Siddhis. It is a psychic faculty. It is an abnormal power in man. See, danger of Hiddhis, this word is used. That means it is abnormal powers in man. Because mind is the slayer of the real and it makes mistakes. And therefore, it awakens illusion. So these siddhis are of 2 kinds. even if they are abnormal, there are two kinds of siddhis. One group embraces the lower, coarse, psychic, and mental energies, and the other one, which is exact, the highest training of spiritual powers. So there are again good and bad powers. These are the psychic powers. Same thing is taught by Lord Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, saying, he who is engaged in the performance of yoga, who has subdued his senses, and who has concentrated dharana, mind, in me, means Krishna, such yogis, all the siddhis stand ready to serve. So finally, we must merge, not in the mind, but in the heart, because in everybody's heart, there is the Lord's consciousness, Maitreya's consciousness, Krishna's consciousness, Buddha's consciousness. So here it is very important to understand. And it is also said, nada. Nada is the soundless voice, the voice of the silence. Literally, perhaps this would read, voice in the spiritual sound, as the nada is equivalent word in Sanskrit of Shanjar term. And dharana is the intense and perfect concentration of mind upon some one interior object, accompanied by complete abstraction from everything pertaining to the external universe, the world of senses. So once we understand this, as HPB goes on to say, there are two kinds of siddhis, abnormal powers, and second, the highly spiritual one, the lower course type. The spiritual powers may be uncommon, unusual, but they are powers with which we shall become better acquainted in our future evolution, but only when we have learned to use them, not only for ourselves, but for the benefit of all mankind. This is the third object of the Theosophical Society, clearly advocates us that those who wish to learn should discover, should investigate these unexplained laws of nature and powers latent in man. We have to do this. These do not realize merely to extrasensory perception, but to the deeper and truer powers of the spirit. When we say the lower potential powers, and voice of the silence says, mind is the great slayer because of these psychic powers. And these great powers, as we are well familiar in Hindu tradition, Anima, Mahima, Laghima, Garima, Paraprapti, Parakaya, Ishadya and Vaishya. All these are one can become a smaller than smallest, smaller atom, small is atom. So one can have this power, psychic power of reduction. Mahima is one can become larger than larger, power of magnification. This we see nowadays in serial, how the Lord shows his Vishwarupa Darshan, or how Hanumana becomes larger and how he becomes immediately smaller. Then Laghima and Garimardi, he can become light or he can become heavy at his will. And moving out to moon, traveling through astral body, these are all lower hiddhis. And also parakamaya, to realize wishes and desires of others, or power to control and create, command over others. So these all are the dangers of the lower hiddhis, HP BLavatsky mentions. But as our third object says, to investigate the unexplored potential powers, that is seeing and hearing things in other way than the normal use of our eyes and ears, telekinesis, moving objects without touching them, PSI faculties, which means psychic, projecting the mind to make an image of oneself, becoming invisible, passing through solid objects like walls, swimming in the ground as though it were a water, walking on water. So these higher potential powers are spiritual abilities. These are not the higher potential power, these are the lower potential powers. But potential powers, you have those powers of telekinesis, psychic faculties, seeing and hearing things in other way. But higher potential, HPB points us to the higher potentials, which are the spiritual abilities like compassion, understanding, intuitive insight, and an awareness of mystical unity of all existence. So this, once we understand, before we go further, even flying through the air, touching the sun and moon, just now I said, all these are the psychic powers. So time is there, I know, 40 minutes, but to sum up, I may say, thanks to all for giving this opportunity, introducing me, some introductory comments on Voice of the Silence. And today is very auspicious day. Today is the Rama Navami. And you know, Navami is the number 9. Number 9 is the end in one way, and also the beginning of the number. We begin from 0. That means shunyata, bindu, point. And when points are connected, that becomes line. When line is crossed, that becomes duality. That is the cause of manifestation. So can we relate what we are studying? It is a good thing. I must congratulate the organizers to start this study class on this auspicious day of Rama Navami. Can we relate what we have studied in the Ramayana, which is our epic? This epic, you know, Valmiki's great Sanskrit epic, Ramayana, how he got this insight to write this story of Ramayana is said to have arisen from spontaneous in his mind. When he saw or when he witnessed the agony of a bird which had lost its faithful mate, at the cruel hands of hunters. We nowadays facing so many families are crushed under this cruelty of humanity when we do the wars. And biology also has discovered lovebirds, certain fishes, certain mammals are monogamous. They can't live if their life partner departs. So in human culture, this monogamy is an ideal one. The Hindu religion, of course, permitted polygamy for the kings to protect the kingdom, to have many wives. But life of the divine ruler Rama, he is known for the Ekapatni Vrta. And this Ramayana is wonderful teaching how we relate this epic to our what we are studying, the voice of the silence. Can we think Rama as the Atma, that is the spirit, heaven above, and Sita the heart or the mother earth, abode of Atma or Mool Prakriti? Then Lakshmana is this consciousness. We saw now 8 type of consciousness up to universal consciousness. So Lakshmana is consciousness, one who is always awake, Lakshmana. Then Hanumana is this Manasa principle, mind principle. He can take jump, a quantum jump, but he has forgotten this potentiality which is within him. This ability he has forgotten. And he needs some push. Someone like real guru needs to remind him about his real potentiality. And here is this voice of the silence as a guide to all of us to take that shift from darkness of ignorance to the light of wisdom. Once again, I thank to all listeners. I am happy that some thoughts I have put before you. You can think over it deeply. And then if you have any queries, you can just mention, or you can write. Even in the next lecture, I may give you more explanation about it. Thank you very much, Muralidharan and Vimalji, for projecting the slides, etc. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shindeji. It was a really lovely lecture. So many interesting points you have mentioned. So now the forum is open for any questions, any comments. All are welcome. We have got 20 minutes for this. Maybe we could shorten this time and make it a 10-minute next time. So that if there aren't too many questions, we'll see today how it goes. Yes. So this Yogacara school, yes, Shiva Subramaniam sir, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody is asking.
Yes, sir. Shiva.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, you have to shut off one device. You are echoing.
I'm sorry. I had logged into 2 devices, and so my question is about dharana. Can you say something more about dharana?
Dharana. Yes. Dharana is concentration. So it is a focusing. It is the first stage. Dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. These are the 3 steps which Patanjali Yoga Sutra says. This dharana is focusing. Focus your all energy. It is not just the focusing the mind. Everything, totality. When you forget yourselves and focus your energy, that energy itself is forming a fire of spirit. And in that fire of spirit, in that light of wisdom, you begin to see clearly. So dharana is the first step. That is what we understand. See, dhyana, dharana, dhyana and samadhi. When dharana becomes perfect, it is called dhyana. When dhyana becomes perfect, it is called samadhi. So these are the steps. When your focusing becomes perfect, then what happens? You see clearly. And when you see clearly, you select that which is the right one. So what you see clearly? You see clearly what is false and what is illusory. Then, if you really focus your energy, then you won't go to that false and illusory, but you take right decision. This is the result of dharana. This is dharana. I think I am made to understand something about dharana. Yes, Pritam, are you satisfied? No, he is silent, I think.
Shiva, you can speak up. Okay, no problem. Yes, Padma Lata
Thank
Ravi.
you. Thank you, Dr. Sande. It's clear. It's
Ah.
very clear.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You can speak. If you put on your video, we can pin you and we can see you. Padmalata Ravi ji, please, you can speak. You have raised your hand? Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Sir, I have a question regarding this thought production. You said it is brain combined with mind. Now, what is that? Can you elaborate on that?
What do you once again repeat?
The thought
Brain?
You said brain combined with mind produces the thought.
Yes. Yes,
So,
brain combines with mind, produces thought. Yes, brain is the tool of the mind. And brain is the tool of the mind. Mind is the thought factory. And brain is simply carries those products of the mind, what it has produced, thought. So brain is just a tool to carry the thoughts that are produced in the mind.
the brain is just
Because mind cannot feel the atmosphere, mind cannot analyze it. Brain cannot feel or brain cannot analyze, but mind can analyze. This is the difference between mind and brain.
and it is called as consciousness.
Yes, I told in the beginning, there is a sensory consciousness and all these sensory, we are conscious that what our ears are hearing, what our eyes are seeing, what our tongue is tasting, what our skin is touching, feeling, all these are the sensory consciousness. And then mind goes to the relative consciousness, that little bit above, that is relative, but it is maybe false sometimes. There is no clarity, there is no dharana. So, false consciousness. And when we reach to the buddhic consciousness, then we begin to see clearly And that consciousness is definitely takes you a quantum jump to the yoga or universal consciousness. So these are all are the steps of the consciousness. Ordinary
Thank you.
consciousness, relative mind, and consciousness of spirit is manasa. And fundamental universal consciousness, HPB called it as the alaya. And consciousness of externals is the sensory consciousness. So when you say consciousness, still we are not clear about what conscious. It is a field, it is a soap in which we all are. Ground of consciousness is a soap in which we all are merged. Because 95% of problem of life are because of this consciousness.
So, universal consciousness is seeing one in all and all in one.
Yeah, correct. When you forget yourself, then you are one with everyone. So once you forget this I-ness, identification, then you are with everyone.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else?
This whole book is 3 fragments. The very first fragment is a probationary path. Consists of 3 halls, 7 stages with 7 sounds, and the 4 states with their respective truths. And these 7 sounds, they are very nicely given. And at the end of the 7th sound, there is this voice of the silence. Then it also, the first fragment shows the 4 modes of truth. The one truth is misery. Then second truth is we can conquest of temptations. We can destruct our sins. And then we can enter into the path. These all are a probationary path which we study in the fragment 1. So out of it, we have just today started 5 verses. Then in the fragment 2, the 2 parts, once your dharana is clear, then you see 2 parts. Here, the I doctrine won't function. You need to open your eye of the heart. That is, heart doctrine is employed. So this is the second fragment. When we go to the third fragment, is really Arya path. Then here you must become perfection in 7 steps. So 7 perfections like dana, sila, kshanti, viraga, virya, dhyana, and prajna. So these are the steps we are going to study in few things. So these 3 fragments are important, but alaya is the absolute Brahman, not only in its aspects of transcendent, but also the immanent. So these are the 3 fragments we study gradually. If you have any questions, put before so that we can explain more clearly. I am also not perfect. I am putting my perspective. I don't know how far we will do best for this.
There is one more question has come from Shiva again. He says, is pragya
Prajna.
Sir, but where have you? Yeah, is pragya same as consciousness? Is
Yeah.
pragya
Prajna is
same
intuitive.
as consciousness?
Yeah, it is intuitive consciousness. Prajna is intuitive consciousness. Yes. Prajna these are the levels of consciousness. When we reach to the Anandamaya Kosha, bliss, that is the Prajna. Intuitive consciousness. You can say intuitive consciousness. We are supposed to become intuitive human beings, not the sensory human beings like Bondi Baba. Bondu Babas.
Okay. Sir, any particular reading or homework you want to give to the people? Some.
Yeah, you can write a note on mind is the slayer of the real, slay the slayer. Think on it. How we can slay the slayer? How can we transcend our mind? Because mind is the basic and it is a homework which we can do. And you can even see the mind, how it deceives us. Always, psychological time. It is slow when we wait. It is swift when we are under frightened state. And it is long when we are grieving. And it is very short when we are rejoicing. And when we are love, the time, how the time passes, we don't know. It is eternity. So in love only we can see the time. So these are the different. Learn to love and enjoy the eternity of life. The biggest mistake we make in life is thinking we have time, but we have no time. Time is illusion. So when there is time ends, ending of time, Krishnamurti's book is there. So many things we can relate. So mind is the slayer of the real, slay the slayer. This you can write a note on it and keep it with you. If you want to share afterwards.
Okay, so you've all got your instructions. Write something on the theme of today's talk. So let's see what you will come up with. And there is a comment here. Keeping in view of contemporary complexity in human life, I assume that every concept of our TS school of thought must be applied to modern society, particularly to the youth. Mr. Venkateshwara Rao has written this.
Yes, that is what we have done in this talk. We related with our Ramayana epics. We are not blind believers. Whatever we study, we try to go deeper and deeper into this ancient wisdom teaching. And what this mythological or epics they want to convey us. So this kind of study must go on. Yes, it's good to do that one.
Thank you. So shall we end, sir? Murli, sir?
Yeah, I think we can close the session.
Yeah. So someone can say a closing prayer. Murli, sir, would you like to say a closing prayer, please?
I don't know any prayers. Somebody else has to do that.
All right. Anybody else would like to volunteer, or I can do it?
No, I can do Purnamadam. If you want, I can do it. It's not a problem.
Please do it. Please do it, sir. So all of us.
Om Purnamidam Purnamadam Purnat Purnascha Mayate Purnasya Purnaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Fine, thanks.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Shindeji, for this wonderful session. Really looking forward to every Thursday from you. And everybody, thank you so much for patiently listening, following the rules, and being a wonderful audience. So thank you, everybody, and see you next Thursday.
Thank you.
Okay. Fine, thank you.